your missing angles in your leaf. Okay. You do not, you can't start with A. You can't go in the order of the alphabetical letters. Okay. Because in where here's angle A, I don't know either of the other two angles of that triangle. Okay. There's not enough information here for me to start with A. So you have to find places where you do have enough information to fill in missing angles. And you're going to fill in missing angles that don't have letters also. So like while I'm up here next to A, okay, go ahead and look. Anytime you have a straight line, how many degrees is a line? 180. So if I have a line, okay, so you can see these two angles here, the 42 and the B, they form a line together. So I know that these two together should be 180. So can I find angle B? Do I have enough information to find angle B? Yeah, that I take away 42 from the 180 and see what's left. So, and you can do scratch work on the back or off to the side. It doesn't matter to me where you show your work. Okay, but if you subtract, what are you left with? 138. Okay, so now I've got angle B. So that's a start. I still don't have this angle down here of this triangle, so I still don't have enough to find A. So I'm gonna have to go somewhere else to work. But look for any, if you want to do it by what you have, like start with straight lines. Look at angles where you have, here's a straight line. So I know the angles that form that straight line have to add to 180. Okay, same thing here. There's a straight line. Let's see. Here's a straight line with an angle that I know. Okay, straight line with an angle that we know. Okay, so I could go through to all of these and note, what does the box mean? When you see this square, 90. That means 90. So if I know together this line is 180, 90 plus what is 180? 180 minus 90. 90. So that means that this angle also has to be 90. Do y'all understand that? Okay, here's another one up here that has a 90 along a straight line, but then the rest of it is broken up into two angles. So I know that this has to be 90, the 46 and the H together. So I could figure out what's left for H. So 46 taken away from 90, what does that leave me with? So I know H has to be 44. Okay, so you see, I'm not going in any particular order. I'm just looking and seeing what's labeled, what's given, where can I go from there? Okay, so you could do, I'm not going to do it for you, but you could do I, because these two together should add to 180. You could do the U, because these two together should add to 180. Okay, I told y'all when I handed it out, you could start over here. We have an isosceles triangle. See how these are marked congruent? We focused on isosceles triangles the other day, and we said that across from the congruent sides, those are the legs, the angles across from those are the base angles, and they're congruent. So that means these two angles have to be the same as each other. Okay, and if I know that the vertex angle is 30, what do the three angles of a triangle always add to? They always add to 180. So I could take away the 30 of the vertex angle. That leaves me with 150. And 150 has to be split evenly between these two because they're congruent. When you're splitting something evenly, you're dividing by 2, right? You're going to split it into 2. So I do 150 divided by 2. That gives me 75. So I know each of these angles in here is 75. Now, what happens when you have an intersection? What are the angles across from each other? They're congruent. Their vertical angles are congruent. So if Y is 75, this angle down here is also 75. That thick line is kind of hard to see. Let me make it a finer tip pin there. Now I have a triangle here with Z. I know two of the angles, and I know these two and Z should all add to 180, shouldn't they? So I could work my way around and find Z. And then that makes a line here. So I could find this missing angle. Are y'all kind of getting the idea? You just work, you make connections at all these intersections. Okay, one that we haven't talked about is parallel lines. If you have parallel lines and a transversal, let me highlight. So do you see how this line has an arrow on it and this line has an arrow on it? They're telling us those are parallel. And then you've got a transversal. So this is the transversal here that intersects those two. Remember the angle relationships between those? Like alternate interior angles. So I know that this angle, oh, that's a line, not a pen. So I know that this angle is going to be congruent to this angle because they're alternate interior. So once I know this angle C, I'll be able to find this angle. And then I'll have enough to find A. Do y'all follow? Okay. Let's see, what else? Here's other parallel lines over here. These two lines are marked parallel. See how they both have two arrows on them? So they're parallel, and you have a transversal cutting through those. Draw it. This is the transversal. So alternate interior angles are going to be congruent. So this angle, U, is going to be congruent to P. Do you see that? Y'all agree? So I told you could find U with a linear pair here. And then once you know U, you know P. And then once you know P, you could find N. Y'all see how it just keeps connecting to different parts? So keep working your way around and find as much as you can. Okay. And remember, you get to submit this on Canvas. You're going to go in Canvas to the assignment. And this, let me see if I can preview. So this is what it's going to look like for you. If it'll load. So you're doing all your work on your paper. Then you're going to come down here and you're going to fill in. What does A equal? B, C. And it's just the 26 letters. You just type in the answers that you get for the 26 letters and you hit submit. Okay, and then it's going to give you feedback. It's going to tell you what's right and what's wrong. So if you get some wrong, go back to your paper. Okay, and down beneath this is where it has them all listed out and you have your answers written. Okay, put an X on the ones over the ones that are wrong so you know not to guess or input that answer again. And then go back to that angle in your picture and see what work you did and try and find your mistakes and fix them. And ask questions if you can't figure out what your mistake was. And y'all can be talking to each other. You can be using your notes. Use Desmos as the calculator. You don't have to do all this in your head. Does this help some? Okay, so y'all keep working, trying to find as many of those angles as you can. And when you submit, if you got some wrong and you go back and try to find your mistakes and you rework them, you'll go back to the assignment. You'll go back into Canvas and you'll resubmit. And it will only pop up the ones that you got wrong. You don't have to re-answer all of them again, just the ones that you got wrong the first time. And then you'll submit again, and it'll tell you if you still have some wrong, you can try again. And then you can submit, and it'll tell you if you still have some wrong, and then you can try again. And that's your last try, the fourth try. It's set to 4 attempts. Okay, so you have 4 attempts, and each time you do a reattempt, you're only having to redo the ones you got wrong. Once you get them right, they're done. You're not going to have to go type those in again. Good?